I keep having to emphasize this. This is not to make DOA look good. He is, by all accounts, a grifter and cannot be trusted. But I did find that the conversation he had with Selfless did go to some interesting areas. So let me give the background for people who are totally new who may be a little confused. But basically, DOA and Aaron Smith Levin had a falling out. And one of Aaron's allies, Nora, who works with his foundation, but she claims she gets no salary. Maybe, maybe not. In any case, Nora decided to correct DOA and a friend of his, Liz Ferris, on her channel. And Selfless tried to basically push back and say, well, you're really misrepresenting things, you're gaslighting people. And Nora, of course, got upset and started attacking him. And Selfless is a little hard to categorize. I think you could fairly say he's one of the more radical anti-Scientology protesters, but unlike a lot of them, he seems to genuinely hate Scientology, where a lot of them are just play acting. I don't think they really care about the cult. They don't care about the abuses or the survivors, but I think Selfless is being genuinely angry. Now, I don't agree with how he's doing things or his tactics or all his commentaries, but he seems genuinely hateful of Scientology. You gotta give him that. So they're both reflecting upon how cultish that SPTV itself has gotten.
I've suffered with mental health issues most of my life. I'm a childhood SA victim, and I'll be dealing with it. I'll be in therapy for the rest of my life. And I've seen it. I've seen it in my peers who have like fallen much further in lockdown wards or whatever else. The bigotry that's shown to them and the total callous indifference that's shown to them because they had one of these episodes and they're working their way back. And the lack of grace shown to you is a part of a lot of what I've seen in my lifetime having to deal with this. And I'm sorry that you've had to face it, but it is typical, I think, and especially in our culture.
Well, and what I don't understand is
Selfless is referring
everyone
to
else is allowed to call out bad actors.
Very tasteless joke about young men who are taken advantage of by older women. Now, I think it was meant to be mainly a joke, but being Poe on the go, it's hard to tell. He doesn't have a very good sense of humor, so he just puts out his commentaries, and later they're meant to be jokes, but he's not very good at it. In any case, Selfless was very personally offended because he's actually a victim as a child. Yeah, that's one of the dilemmas of SPTV is that they have this very weird kind of language about you have to be so sensitive about the victims. And the ex-Scientologists all nominate themselves as victims, ergo they're immune from criticism. If you criticize them, you're, quote, attacking a victim. Now, the victim can attack other people, and that's okay, but you can't criticize the victim. The problem here is they can criticize victims, and they do it all the time. So it's a very weird Janus face system where people who are favored in their little clique, they can do whatever they please. But if you're outside of the clique, they don't like you very much, including if you are a victim. In fact, being a victim makes you a lot worse. And you got to give Selfless credit that they engaged in forbidden territory by bringing up some, and not just with Aaron, but just some touchy issues with how they try to frame their opponents.
For me, it's not something that I can easily forgive.
Yeah, I was trying not to take it personally, but when she was saying that Aaron never said you were on meth, and even this morning I'm reading the comments. Every comment was about meth and crack pipes, and just comment over comment over comment. And usually comments don't affect me at all, but there's such a large group of them doing it that it's such a huge group doing it that it's having an effect on me, and and I've had the comments affect me before.
Now, what he's referring to is this accusation, and again, let's be clear that DOA, I think you can fairly say, does like drugs. Now, does he like drugs all the time? Maybe not, but he more than once has shown up on camera a little out of it. Now, maybe he's just animated all the time. Some people are like that. But in this particular case, yeah, Aaron has spread the rumor that DOA is on a meth-fueled rage. And one, DOA vehemently denied this, but then Aaron spread it out to Laura FM, his girlfriend. Now, to be fair, Aaron did not do that directly. He just implied that Laura and DOA, I guess, are having these drug-fueled antics together, and his followers have just picked this up, and now all the time people are just saying, well, that DOA, and unfortunately even Laura, they're just meth heads, we should just pity them. And rightly, Selfless is pushing back on that too, saying, well, first of all, and I'll take Selfless at his word, he knows people who are victims of meth, and he's like, they don't look like that. One, they're just speaking out of turn. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. But secondly, well, what if they are victims of meth? Shouldn't we be trying to help them? Why would we be trying to exile them from the community? We should be trying to help them and educate them, right? It's just a very weird discourse that Aaron and Nora and others have built for themselves, that victims are supposed to be helped, and we should always believe the survivors. But really what they mean is only people within their inner circle. And if you're not in that inner circle, then we don't believe you, we don't like you, we don't educate you, and we don't really help you. Even if you are the victim of drug abuse, mental abuse, you go through every kind of abuse, they don't seem to show much sympathy or empathy. They just don't care. But if you are in the inner circle, you're sort of immune. And it doesn't matter if you don't suffer abuse, you can claim to suffer abuse, even if the abuse is very small. Like Aaron himself, what did he really suffer in the Sea Org? I mean, really, he just had, low wages? That's about it. Like, he didn't really do too much in terms of suffering or torment. Now, to be fair, Nora did, although even in her case, she really skews the narrative. People keep forgetting that she's this Hollywood kid who had a little bit of money growing up, and it was her choice. She joined the Sea Org. She made a choice to join the Sea Org, and she's tried to obscure that for some time. So it's a very, very weird discourse. Although I don't like the way that Selfless is aligning with certain people, at least there is a consistency there. He is loyal to this, I would say, toxic faction of SPTV, but at least there, the rage seems genuine. And at least there, when they actually do say, let's be careful about how we talk about victims, they actually follow through on that. Whereas this other side of SPTV, they say this, but then the way they actually act does not conform to their own language. So it's just a very weird split within the SPTV crowd, where some people are taking this, quote, discourse about victims and survivors seriously. And again, I don't authorize or license how they're acting, but given that you put out this image that, oh, the survivors, oh, the abuse in Scientology, yeah, they're going to get angry. They're going to get real angry, and they may do some things that are not rational, not legal, and perhaps not advisable. But again, as long as they're loyal to Aaron, he didn't care. But now that some people are asking questions about Aaron and Nora, now, is that really legal? Is that really ethical? Is that really moral? Are you really being sensitive about the victims? Now they're asking these questions. But just a few months before this, didn't care. Didn't care about the victims. Didn't care about the survivors. Didn't care who got hurt, as long as we got some content, as long as we, quote, owned and dunked on the Scientologists, as long as we were mocking the Scientologists and making fun of them and offering Aaron some free interviews and some free content. It was fine. It was fine. They just didn't care. But now suddenly we need to care. We need to think about how the victims and survivors feel. We need to think about Jenna. What about Serge? How do they feel about this? How about Nora? She feels very disturbed what DOA and Selfless are doing. We need to think about them. Yes. Well, are they going to think about other people? Well, maybe, maybe not. At this point, Liz Ferris has been not allowed to go to Natalie's funeral because she might cause a problem with the inner circle. But still, this inner circle, boy, they love victims. They care about survivors. Is Liz Ferris a victim, a survivor? No. Is Selfless? No. I mean, they claim they are. Well, that doesn't matter. They got rejected by the inner circle. And it's the inner circle that matters, because that is not cultish at all. That is very anti-cultish, to have an inner circle of privileged people who can do whatever they please. That sounds like the essence of anti-cult activism under Aaron Smith Levin, apparently.
That the idea that you don't allow criticism, you allow deep, savage criticism, the likes of which I think very few other creators allow in their chat.